Hey guys, it's John from Album Review TV. Today I am filming in South Carolina. I am on vacation right now, but not totally on vacation because I definitely still wanted to film a few things while I was here, a few reviews. The first of those being this, Paramore's self-titled album review. Paramore has shifted gears a little bit here on this album. They've lost two of the founding members, Zach and Josh Farro, and their departure is definitely noticed here on this album. Definitely in the songwriting, the drumming, and just the guitar work. Really, overall, it's just noticeable that they're not there, but it's not necessarily always a bad thing. The band has definitely grown in certain ways. Songwriting skills, Haley's really had to step up. Taylor, Jeremy, everyone's really just stepped up and contributed to the songwriting here on this record. If you're looking for something in the vein of Riot or All We Know Is Falling or else even Brand New Eyes at times, you're not getting a part 4. You're not getting your expected typical sound from Paramore. But honestly, after a few listens, this is something I am really getting into. I do have some complaints for this self-titled album. The drumming is one of those things, and it sounds very generic and poppy at times. It's something that definitely is missing Zach Farro's touch. They got the guy from 9 Inch Nails and Lost Prophets to step in, but really it's just not quite the same. The album is very lengthy, clocking in at just over an hour, pushed over that limit by the song Future, which is one of the tracks that I just really don't like very much. It's long, it doesn't really add too much to the album, a lot of it is very instrumental. I get that it's a closing track, but really it doesn't add anything extra and exciting to the record. The songwriting style has definitely changed a lot, like I said, but that's a good thing, I think, in some ways. It's made Haley especially step up more than anyone, and she's moved on to a new chapter of her life, and so is the rest of the band. The band finds themselves reborn here with this self-titled record, and according to Haley, that's why they titled it Paramore. About half of the album, or maybe even 3/4, is very well written, but some of it just lacks depth compared to their last stuff. It doesn't really dive into anything too personal or relatable even at times. Something I thought was a really cool inclusion here on this record was the interludes, and each of the interludes features Haley and mostly just a ukulele and her singing, and it sounds very raw, real, and the things being sung about on these tracks like Moving On, Holiday, and I'm Not Angry Anymore is just, you know, something that's relatable to a lot of people, and I just love it. They're short, to the point, and very enjoyable. There's a lot of new sounds found here on this self-titled record, like the synths, some of the electronic programming, and even the guitar work. It's a lot more, I don't know, melodic and just kind of goes with the flow, and at times it does get a little bit repetitive and boring and like I wish there was more to it, but most of the song it just fits quite well with the rest of the track. Let's go ahead and jump in and kind of do a track-by-track review of this album. I'm not going in any particular order here, but I want to go ahead and start with part 2. It's a sequel to one of the band's favorite songs, Let the Flames Begin. It's possibly the best track on the album lyrically. It's extremely well written, and the chorus sounds amazing. The verse just really builds perfectly to the chorus, and the guitar kicks in and just really helps the chorus lift off. It goes down a dark and instrumental path towards the end, and it just comes off sounding amazing. The drumming gets a lot more intense here on this track, and that's a nice change of pace from some of the poppy drum beats that I was talking about. One of those, Crazy Girls, is easily one of the best tracks on the album, sporting a string section in parts, which is something I don't think I've ever heard in a Paramore song before, at least not in a while that I remember. A melodic guitar solo, and some of the most interesting lyrical content on the entire album. The track progresses so well and eventually folds out to nothing but Haley, the guitar, and her repeating the phrase, "Now I'm one of those crazy girls." Ain't It Fun is really cool in the sense that the band tried something completely new and actually pulled it off. It sounds very No Doubt influenced. I might mention that a few times throughout the album, and that's really heard on this track, Ain't It Fun. I love some of the lyrics. Who couldn't enjoy Haley singing, "Don't go crying to your mama 'cause you're on your own in the real world"? It's definitely got an original feel to it. Jumpy synths, slick bass lines, some really cool guitar work, and solid vocals, and the drums are even catchy on this track. There are a few parts of the song that feel awkward and out of place, but overall they pretty much nailed it head on with this track, and I like that they tried something new and mixed it up here. The band really does seem like they're having a lot of fun on tracks like Ain't It Fun, Fast in My Car and Ankle Biters, and I want to dive into Fast in My Car next. It's a ton of fun, honestly. Lyrically, it's not the best thing ever, but like the song says, no one's the same as they used to be, as much as we like to pretend. This is the new Paramore, like it or not. There's some noisy distortion effects that open the song with a breath of fresh air, and the drumming sounds a little bit poppy, once again, like I was talking about, kind of the just the pop between like the snare and one of the cymbals. It gets a little bit old at times, but honestly I find myself focusing more on other parts of the track. The chorus is simple enough, but it's catchy, and that's the key. They can still write hooks, and they're showing it here at the beginning of the album. Be Alone is another one of my overall favorites on the record. It's really solid vocally, and I love the echoed "We Could Be Alone" part. It's one of the heaviest guitar-wise, I would say, and the drums actually get a little bit more intense, and it's just not so poppy, and once again it mixes it up. Some synths creep their way into the back of the song near the end, and overall this song is just really one of the best Paramore songs I've heard in a while. I even like some of the Coldplay-ish "oh, oh, oh" chants that they kind of throw into the song. It really adds a cool feel to it. Now I understand this song in the context of an album. Now was the first single released off of the self-titled album, and I really wasn't digging it too much at all when I first heard it, but I understand it more in the context of an album. It's really catchy. It's got one of the best hooks for a rock song I've heard in a while. I'm surprised it hasn't crossed over to mainstream radio and that kind of market, because honestly I think it has the potential to. It's not my favorite Paramore single by any means, but I understand it, and I think it was a good way to introduce their new album after hearing the rest of it. Still Into You is the best track on the album, hands down. One of the best hooks I've heard in quite a while for any genre, really. You'll be singing along after a few listens whether you really want to or not. Enjoy the catchy guitars, relatable lyrics, and the freaking sweet electronic flourishes that really fill in throughout the middle of the song. Haley, I'm still into you too, and this song. Vocally, she gives one of her best performances of the entire album, and this song just delivers on all levels. Ankle Biters starts off with a distorted guitar effect and breaks into kind of a solid rock intro. I really like that. It's one of the most in-your-face, rock-out type tracks on the album. Might remind you of some of their older stuff. It's short, but damn, it's sweet. Grow Up is another one of those No Doubt influence tracks I was talking about. That's just really what it reminds me of right off the bat, first listen. It didn't really jump out to me at first, but that was the case with several of these songs on this album, and I've definitely come around on it. One of my overall favorites. It's built around simple but catchy guitars and power-packed lyrics that fit Haley's voice quite well. Proof is super fun musically and an easy listen. It didn't really stand out to me at first, once again, but now, like so many others, it's just kind of jumping out and grabbing my attention. I dare you not to sing along to this one after a few listens. It's another one of those big, sexy hooks I was talking about. More of the poppy drum beats I was talking about, but I can overlook it for such an awesome track. Haley's voice is unmistakable once again and comes off sounding so confident on this track in particular. For a track I'm on the fence about, it's Hate to See Your Heart Break. It's really great in the sense that it's got a really cool chorus, but after a while it overstays its welcome. I love that Haley's showing off some of her vulnerability here. It's much more emotional and in tune and feels very personal, but at the same time it kind of overstays its welcome in the sense that it runs over 5 minutes long. As for my dislikes on this record, it's going to be Last Hope, Daydreaming, and Future. Now I already talked about Future, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into Last Hope. It's a little bit too long, once again. I'm not going to say that that's always a bad thing for a track, but this one just kind of overstays its welcome once again in the sense that it doesn't really try and make itself stand out from the rest of the songs. Daydreaming has potential, but it gets lost in unoriginality. It's not exceptional on any level, really. It kind of gets lost in mediocrity. So what did you guys think of the new Paramore album? I'm personally really digging it. Make sure you give it a few listens. At first, it's definitely going to be different and maybe not what you expect, especially if you haven't heard any of the 2 singles that have been released so far. But let me know what you thought in the comments section down below if you've heard it or if you're looking forward to hearing it. 4.5 out of 5 for me for the Paramore self-titled album. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, check out my website, albumreviewtv.com. All the links are in the description below. I will see you guys very soon. Thanks for subscribing.